Alright, today we'll be taking a look at how to disassemble and transfer all the components from the stock e-brake onto the Iros Motorsport billet low profile e-brake caliper. So it's pretty easy. We'll set that aside for now. Tools required: medium-sized screwdriver, pliers, a little pick. I like to use these. It's like to remove the seals. It's just no sharp edges or anything, that way we don't poke holes in them. You can also use a file down screwdriver, just something small and not sharp. Also an 11 divided by 32 size wrench, T30, quarter drive ratchet, small screwdriver, and a hammer. Alright, so first step first. Grab your T30, and there will be 2 screws holding the motor. Motor just slides right off, and there will be this seal in here, this O-ring. Pull that guy off. We want to the C-clip. Okay. C-clip. So there will be a little washer. Alright, once that's out, we'll go ahead and remove the slides. That just slides right off. This one's a little tricky, especially on cars that it's never been removed on before. It can get really dirty in there with dust and stuff. It doesn't really want to move. This one's been taken apart before, so that's why it's coming out easy. Next one, you want to push this slide forward a little bit. Use this, slide it over the slider, push it out, comes right off. Then pull these off. These are just held in there by grooves. Next, pads. So this, you just pop that off, and then there's 2 little pins holding the other pins in. And then just slide these pins out. That holds the calipers. So the markings for the pin, that way, for the piston, that way you know which way they go. If those markings aren't there, I guess you could just mark them. Right, this piston is just pressed in there. So I like to use this. Just put it in there. Give it a couple smacks. And it should push the piston out. Then you just grab the seal, push it over. Sometimes you can just pull it straight off. If not, then you just grab this in here and push, and it'll come right off. Jeez. Alright. This piston is just operated by a screw. There'll be fluid in there, but it doesn't really, the fluid's just for lubrication. It doesn't really have hydraulic pressure or anything. It's just the motor turning this to turn this to compress the pads. So something to take note of, this O-ring and these bearings tend to fall off when you're removing it. They'll fall off in there, so just keep note of how they go back together. And then the O-ring will be right there. We also want to make sure that this is fully screwed in so that it's at its smallest position. Set that aside, pull the seal off, and then there'll be another little O-ring seal in here. I want to pull that off, and that is pretty much it. We won't need this. So we take this, looks pretty much the same, and then it'll be just reverse order. Put this thing in here, make sure it's seated properly. You can take a little bit of lube and put it on the seal just to help the piston slide when we go to put it in. Alright. Now, there wasn't fluid in this because, as I mentioned before, it's been taken apart before. But you want to clean this up, make it so that there's no fluid over it so it's not so slippery. Otherwise it makes installing it a pain in the ass. So we're gonna put this through, or we're actually gonna slide it past its groove and down the piston. We're gonna make sure that this side doesn't come off the piston, but this groove hangs out a little bit. That way we can hold it around like that and put it all together at the same time. Just slide those into their grooves. And then you can just feel around, make sure that it actually slid into place. Looks good. And then we should be able to just give it a squeeze and it'll go in. Some will be harder. We've seen them where we actually have to put it in the press and just press it enough to where it clears the seal on the inside, and then you can finish pushing the rest in by hand. This side of the screw is very floppy, so you can just line it up and finish pushing it through. There you go. Once it's through, this should have slid into place now. If not, it's a good time to slide it into place. Alright. Now, washer goes back in. Then the C-clip. And then the O-ring for the motor. And we'll actually leave it like that for now. We'll take this guy, the one with this side goes towards the outside, and we'll just push it in. If you clean these up and you put a little lube on them. It'll actually make it easier. These ones aren't that dirty, so it's alright. Then it's just this guy slides right in there. Then you put these in. And then you can go in from the back and just push it into its groove. That way you know for sure that it's seated properly. There you go. And then we'll take the other slide. And get it in position. There you go. Once it's through, push it into place. And I think my coworkers are going to be a little rude here and make a bunch of noise, but hopefully you guys can still hear me. Oh man, that one's not in properly, as you can see. So we'll take this side out. We'll push it over. Get back in there. See that? There we go, that's better. Push it in. And that's good. Then we can take the motor. There'll be a cutout for it. Make sure the ring is on. And just push it on. Good and tight. That's what the torque spec is. Alright, so just these now. Take the pin, slide one in, slide this one in, take this one, slide that one in. Slide it in all the way. Into its spot. Then we can put the little pins in their holes. We want to make sure that this side of the pin goes on the outside, not on the inside, because it might interfere with this. There. And then put the spring back in. And that should be it. That completes the install. Now, we usually take this off all the way. You'll have to put some new thread sealant on it, but I just think this is the easiest way to fill it. And then I usually just take an eyedropper to grab fluid and just keep pouring it in there with the eyedropper until it, and then I shake it until there's no more bubbles coming out of there. And it's just brake fluid as well, just regular old brake fluid. To fill it myself. But yeah, that is pretty much it. And then side note, this has to be fully compressed in when you're filling it up with fluid. That way you don't overfill it. If this is out, and you fill it up with fluid, this won't be able to retract this because it'll lock up on the fluid. So yeah, that is